Did you know that it's never been easier to grow organically on Instagram? Or maybe you didn't know that the metrics that really matter on Instagram are not likes or saves. In this episode, we unpack what's really working for our small businesses, how to make it easy, and why you need to get started today. You can't afford to miss this episode. Whether you're a small business or just thinking of starting something up, if you're not regularly posting, you're missing out on connections, customer engagement, and sales. Today, we're sharing how to get started, key tools to make it easier, the metrics that really matter, and what to consider when engaging influencers for your campaign.
Welcome to Share the Wealth.
I'm Ziba.
And I'm Sarah.
We're two friends who just happen to live across the street from each other and share a deep passion for entrepreneurship and wellness. After meeting as neighbors, we quickly bonded over our similar journeys, starting out in Fortune 500 companies before diving headfirst into the world of entrepreneurship and opening fitness studios.
Ziba has also built a thriving social media empire where she inspires thousands through her insights on wellness and style. Together, we bring unique perspectives combining years of experience in business, fitness, and personal growth.
Join us and our incredible guests as we explore the realities of being ambitious women navigating business, motherhood, wellness, and the many twists and turns life throws our way.
Our mission is to inspire you with real stories and practical takeaways, helping you to stay adaptable, resilient, and motivated in an ever-changing world. So, let's start sharing.
Today we are demystifying Instagram, a topic we're passionate about. Whether you are a small business and you already have your account set up, just kind of feeling a little bit confused about what to post and when, or you're just not motivated because you don't see results, or if you are on the other side of the spectrum and you are inspired when you go on Instagram and you're wondering what it takes to be a content creator or an influencer and you just don't know where to start, then this episode is for you. We're going to share our experiences. I have been an Instagram content creator for the last 10 years with my fitness business, Mozzie Dance Fitness, and also as a fashion and lifestyle content creator. Today we're covering Instagram. Sarah is also active on her business Instagram. You've been doing it for a couple of years, right?
Yep. I love that you mentioned that you've been doing it for a long time and it started with your own small business because 10 years ago it was really different and the way you grew was different. So I feel like this is really valuable. Your insight's valuable because you've seen it all. You're in touch with where the platform has been and what works today.
It's always evolving. It's such a fluid organism. And I think that in the last maybe year or two, there's never been an easier time to grow or get discovered on Instagram, much the way that TikTok worked in 2020, where there was a lot of discoverability and, you were able to just quickly get views without really being anybody special or having a large following. And I think that's a lot of times what people think about Instagram. And one of the myths, if you will, is that if you're not big already, then how are people going to find you and why even bother? It's so saturated. But you can be anybody and have discoverability if you're consistent.
Yep. So what does it mean to be discoverable?
If you're a small business, maybe you started posting, didn't get motivated, hired an agency for a while or put up a couple of carousels, maybe sometimes would do a post whenever you got to it and didn't see results. It's one of the best ways to get discoverability for clients and just to get, and even if people are not going to walk into your studio if you're a local business like you, Sarah, but just to, get engagement, and that sometimes can lead to other business opportunities too. And now Instagram is moving towards geo-targeting. By summer, it's going to be very sensitive to where you are. So you're going to be seeing primarily posts that are in your area, much like TikTok. This is great if you're a small business because posts are more relevant to you. You don't want fashion tips from me in upstate New York when you live in Florida. Discoverability opens doors and it's never been easier to do. And we're going to walk you through how that is. But Sarah, what have you noticed? You've been in business a couple years now.
It's been 2 years. We've grown consistently. At first, we had that mindset of well, there's only so many people we can reach, right? We're in this market. We'll do our best. So that's what we did. But we always saw Instagram as the best way to tell our brand story. The website, of course, and the app where people are going to find us via Google and book classes. As a consumer, brick and mortar places, I look for their social media. I'm not saying it always makes or breaks my decision. We knew that was important. So we owned posting our own content. In the beginning, it was just my partners and I. And as we hired other instructors and employees at the business, we started to include them and just began to test the waters to see what worked. I'd be lying if I said we looked at the numbers every day, but we knew we were growing. It was the consistency. You mentioned the connection with the clients. It's so important. We didn't know how many people we could reach and we continue to reach. There's universities around here. People are coming and going. There's seasonality. So it was all stuff we were really surprised whenever we asked where they found us. 90% of the time, it is Instagram.
That is such an incredible testament. And I literally got chills because it's true and free. Of course, it costs you your time and effort putting things up. Before, when I opened up my fitness business, we had to invest in huge billboards outside our building because that was the only way that people were going to see us. And now to have this word of mouth and like very quickly they can look at your Instagram and see, is the vibe for me? You know, you can tell so much. The videos, the people that are in there. When you get there too, there's a sense of familiarity. Like, oh, this is what I saw on Instagram. This is the room I saw. People can picture themselves being a customer. And I think that is just an incredible thing that you can do for clients is telling your brand story. People get excited about coming to see you.
It's a peek behind the curtain. Some people still want to visit before their first class, and that's fine. But you mentioned that it's free. And that's a good point because we're not talking about paid ads today.
Actually, hot take, I would not recommend paid ads. You can go far organically with the ideas and formulas we're going to give you later.
That's valuable advice. We tried paid ads. It was too much to decode. You mentioned like the cost of time. I think it was more so the time that we were putting into it, trying to do it ourselves. So I am very happy to dive deeper into the organic tactics.
It's a great way to stay relevant if you're excited about being a content creator. Forget money, there's friendships, relationships, global networking, just by letting people into your corner of the internet and sharing your knowledge, what you're passionate about. Frequently, I come across either moms that are not working currently and, still want to stay in touch with their careers or hobbies and things that they want to do, like cooking. It can be literally anything, gardening. There's so many niche like little pockets of the internet that it's like whatever lights you up inside. If you're doing something like that every day, you could share it with the world. It's not only benefiting you and the other person, but also when you're creative, you have no time to be anxious. You get to play with your creativity every day. It's rewarding and helps your mental health.
An amazing creative outlet that a lot of people are finding and utilizing. And I think it was Mel Robbins. I can't remember which podcast she was on when she was like, your Instagram, your social media is a reflection of you. It doesn't matter what people think, whether you're an individual or you're a small business. Just think of it as the reflection of your creativity and what potential clients, friends, or partners to see. Good focus.
Yeah. And if you kind of flip it and think to yourself, like if you are really, really knowledgeable about nutrition, and you went to school for it, used to work in it, and now you're taking a career break because you have things going on in your life, whatever it might be. You know so much that people could benefit from, but you're not sharing it except with your closest friends and family. If you put it out in the world, like what you eat for breakfast every day and why that helps you and why that could help somebody else. Like people can't be the best versions of themselves until you put yourself out there with your Pilates studio. People can't be their most flexible, strong self if you don't put yourself out there and they never find you. It's just kind of thinking about potentially really having an impact if you just take a chance and, like you said, not caring what other people think. I think that is a huge hurdle to overcome. When I started my fashion Instagram, I had already been posting for fitness and I didn't really know like how to do it. I always love fashion, like learned how to read so I could read Vogue type of thing, but felt like, what are people going to think? They know me as a fitness instructor. My mom said, look at all these people that inspire you. Do you think they care what people think? I thought, I said, no, you're right. They don't. Those people I look up to don't care. And so I can't care either. And like we've talked about before, people are going to judge you no matter if you don't do anything at all. So you might as well do something that makes you happy. I already know what Mel Robbins chat you're talking about. Like your posts have nothing to do with anybody else. And, you got to take it out of your drafts and you just have to put it out there and people will unfollow you. I had some really close friends unfollow me the first couple of weeks that I was posting my outfits and it stung a little bit. But it's okay. People show you who they are. If they don't support this stage of your life, it doesn't have anything to do with you.
The content wasn't for them. They were following you for fitness or whatever reason for other non-business.
Pictures of my kids.
Yeah, family members, right? And now you're posting pictures and advice videos. They don't think they need and they don't want to see it. I could see it stinging, but that's the only perspective to have. And you mentioned like putting content out there because there will be more people. It's a huge platform. And you're educating other people by putting stuff out there. When you made that decision to switch from fitness to fashion, you had to find those you admire. That was self-development for you and enhanced what you were putting out. It wasn't until you committed to the fashion world that you were able to dive in and go all in, right?
Yeah, exactly. And my fitness account was totally different than the fashion one. People were like, wait, I thought you were fitness. What do you mean you're fashion now? Maybe you're a lawyer. And guess what? You are really into knitting or sewing or whatever it might be. It's okay.
Back to the example of someone who might unfollow you. Great. And then you find a new follower for every unfollow.
This leads us to a good segue because if you already have an account and either you're a new content creator or a business that has a growing account and you want to try new formats, but you don't want followers to see it, then Instagram now has a concept called trial reels, solely post for not your followers, but for non-followers, which is amazing. Like talk about you're getting free. We're talking about ads. That's free ads right there. Those are free ads.
These trial reels are a great example of how it is a great time to grow on Instagram because they're rolling out tactics like this.
Right.
And of course, they're trying to compete with the TikToks.
Algorithm.
The TikTok that's still around and going strong. And why not hop on the wave and try this out? Have you tried trial reels?
I have. And I just had a video go viral from trial reels. They said, use it for content that you don't know for sure that is going to resonate with your audience. And that way you can get a read from non-followers to see if it is good. And then they'll actually give you a little message and say, hey, by the way, this trial reel is crushing it. Do you want to convert it into a regular reel? I was like, okay, let's do it. And then 12 hours later, it was at 1 million views, new followers. Before, I would have had to pay for that visibility.
Totally.
I would have had to pay for 1 million, people looking at this video.
You'd have to pay to get new viewers.
Yeah.
That's just the way it was.
So demystify that. You don't need to pay. Another myth. You don't necessarily need to be on camera. Like if you are never going to be the person that feels comfortable talking to the camera, you can get so much across with text on the screen, showing your process until you get comfortable.
And there's a lot of gadgets out there too, right? To help you prop up your phone. And again, stay off camera if you want to.
Yeah, definitely.
Just endless tools.
And so while we're at this, and you had mentioned TikTok and the way that Instagram is kind of mimicking the algorithm of TikTok. And that is so, so true. And I think a lot of people, including YouTube, have seen why people like TikTok because there is a sense of discovering as a consumer things that you might not see otherwise. And B, if you are creating content, being discovered. And so if you want us to do a special episode on TikTok, leave us a note in the comments. We'd love to hear from you, and we're happy to do that. It's helpful to dive into one platform. The same for YouTube as well. And with YouTube, honestly, like just a quick overview on the 3 platforms before we move on to the things you need to do to get started on Instagram. YouTube is a great way to have somebody watch you for 10 minutes and get to know you really well. Trust is such an important currency in today's social media world. There's just so many people out there that if you can get somebody to trust you, it's really helpful. And YouTube is a great way to do that just because you can show up consistently and provide value. It is very difficult it's probably the platform that's the slowest to grow on if you do solely long form video. They also have a shorts format where you can repurpose your TikToks or Reels and grow that way, but it's not as impactful as long form. The beauty about YouTube is that the pay per view is a lot more significant than any other platform. So from that standpoint, you can kind of have a lot of passive income over time versus TikTok and Instagram don't really offer that. TikTok, as we know, is an amazing tool, very addictive. The problem is that it's volatile ever since I've been on. I've been on for it since 2020. And it's actually my biggest platform. It's always been volatile in terms of views. It's been very volatile in terms of getting banned every other year. And so if you put all your eggs on the TikTok basket, it's a little tough. Just getting in there and getting out standpoint, it's a little harder to do than Instagram. Like, you say you're going to just go in there and post, and there's something about it that just sucks you in. I have more of a toxic relationship with TikTok. I have to really, really limit myself. So those are some high level points about the platforms. And
Would you say it's TikToxic?
TikTok.
That hasn't been out there yet.
Oh my gosh.
It's now out
But
there.
you can purchase our merch
Yes.
next episode.
TikToxic. Because we know everyone loves TikTok, and we saw what happened when it got banned for a few hours. Mayhem.
Total mayhem.
But you mentioned getting sucked in, and that might be something else that holds people back. And I think it did, at least for the business with Instagram, because I go on to post something and I start looking at other stuff, or I'm going on for research and I'm doing too much research, and you need to set boundaries. Don't think you have to be on all the time, but have boundaries for yourself. And I'm sure you do, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
one of the things that I think is so key, especially as you're getting started on your journey of growing, is you do need to spend some time scrolling and getting inspiration and understanding why Instagram is feeding you certain videos and carousels. It's because they're performing well. Like if they're not performing well, most likely they're not gonna make it to you unless you're following that person. It's helpful in terms of education. You don't have to recreate the wheel. You can take note of what is the hook? How long is the video? What are the transitions? What is the topic? All these things really, really matter. However, you do have to make sure you don't doom scroll, because that is exactly what happens. It's you're doomed. Like not only will you'll get into this dopamine loop where you're kind of just not able to get out. But then once you do, it'll kind of ruin your day. You'll feel a little bit lethargic and a little sad too.
Can't sleep if it's at night.
Yes. So I like to give myself like a good, maybe like 20 minutes where I'm like, okay, I'm going to go in there. I'm going to see what's working, why it's being served to me, trending sounds, trending formats, hooks, and then I get out.
Yeah.
And I write notes, and I'll screenshot, which is more effective than writing notes for me. I'll screenshot stuff. And next time I'm, running low on ideas, it's like, oh, let's get back to my research.
I love the idea of a screenshot. And we'll get into the metrics that matter. And I don't think saving necessarily is one of them. But I save a lot with the intention of going back, whether it's inspiration or something I want to look into further. So it's another option.
Saving.
If you're utilizing that save function.
I save stuff too and never go back. Seems like too much work.
Right. It's more about the rabbit hole. Maybe that'll evolve because they have the option to make folders.
Like a Pinterest board.
Oh, we even talk about Pinterest.
I know, we did it.
Another day.
Another day.
But so you gave the overview of TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, high level, pros and cons. Back to Instagram specifically. How to get started, the tools you need. There isn't much.
Not much at all. And if you literally are at the point where you're like, I don't know how to get started, and I see a lot of people that come to me and ask me, how do I get started? I make cakes. I want to get them out there. I want to start grilling and putting my grill stuff out there. How do I get started? Download our free Instagram guide, how to set up your bio, what to put in your profile. Does it matter what your name is? Does it matter what your handle is? How to make it so that you become sticky with other accounts that are in your niche. And what I mean by that is anytime that you follow somebody, next time, check to see what happens after you follow someone. It'll recommend people in that category. And so you want to make sure that somebody goes to follow, like, let's say that you are a gardener, somebody goes to follow Martha Stewart, you come up, oh, why don't you follow, this person? And so that's, you want to kind of have that relationship with Instagram, that Instagram knows exactly what kind of content you're creating so that it's also working a little bit for you.
So you're saying follow accounts in your genre and engage with them.
That definitely helps. The other thing that helps is using the right hashtags, putting the right things in your bio,
Is in our freebie.
keywords that is in our freebie. So all that information is on there, as well as which type of content to post, reels, carousels, stories, lives. All of the nitty-gritty details of Instagram are on there. So make sure that you grab that free guide. It's a very valuable tool that you can get a running start ahead of your competitors.
And then I know this is something that you do, and I believe we go into it in our freebie, but batching content. What does that mean?
Batching content is when you set aside time in one day of the week and you don't just make one video, but you make different videos and you have a little list of how many videos can you kind of take from this one iteration and the shots you need. So you're not overwhelmed and you're not thinking to yourself, oh my gosh, I have to set out an hour a day to produce content. No, you should not be setting aside an hour a day to produce content unless you're doing it on many different platforms in many different ways. If you set aside anywhere from half an hour to an hour a week of dedicated shooting time and knowing your shots, knowing, okay, I'm going to go for this one. I'm going to go for this 5-second video. I'm going to go for these shots just on a carousel. I'm going to show this thing in a different way with a different sound, with a different hook, in a different angle. That's why that research at the beginning is so important, and looking at what is working. So that way that gives you ideas. You don't have to get crazy. You can be like, okay, today I get 3 things done in that half hour. Batching content will keep your sanity and it helps you organize better. Like Sarah said, you don't need much to get started. If you don't have good natural lighting, a ring light is inexpensive on Amazon. We'll link our favorites below, but like it's just a very easy way to get beautiful lighting if you don't have good windows or live in upstate New York and never get any sunshine. A tripod will save your relationships. I'm sure you've seen memes where the person's cleaning the lens of the phone and be like, oh, asking your friend if you can take
Or
it.
Instagram husband.
Yes, definitely.
He
Bless
has
his
helped.
heart. It
all you
becomes your best friend because you don't have to worry about somebody else's schedule. You don't have to worry about, is that person judging you? Like I always get shy. I'm so used to my tripod not judging. It's very easy. Don't need anything.
It doesn't judge.
My favorite editing app is InShot. TikTok has CapCut. Instagram is coming up with their own. I like to have control of my editing without the influence of a platform. InShot is definitely my pick. It's super easy to use. Those are my content creator must-haves. I just use my camera phone. I did have couple of nice DSLR cameras, Canon, Rebel. The iPhones are so good now, you don't need anything else.
That's amazing. That's what I think everyone needs to hear too, because we know we all have one in our pocket. Might as well put it to use.
What about you? You're in the nitty-gritty of running the business. You have classes, you have clients, but you also have to make time to do content. What is your hack?
We've had different approaches to creating content for the studio. We tried to define some pillars early on, and it came from research and emulating studios we liked. A few always rose to the top, so we would save those and do something similar. And that's what creativity is, right? Inspiration from others. We've always used an iPhone, and it's usually been me behind or one of my partners behind the camera. We've worked with one paid partner who created content for us. It was a local brand, and that was really fun because that was the first time we let someone else take the reins. And of course, we had final say on all the cuts and everything. We had a lot of input to the final post, and that was all done on an iPhone. That was reassuring, giving us some confidence, and we used that content a lot. So that was a worthwhile investment. We will get into hiring influencers and content creators to create content. 2 years in, we hired to help us create content. And so we'll meet with her. Hi, Laura. Shout out, Laura. Wild Urban Studios locally. But she comes in and we go over what we want to create once a month. And she does that for us, mostly on an iPhone. She gets some statics to accompany some of the reels we post. So our grid looks beautiful. That was something else that was important to us, how the grid looks, because we know that people finding us are going to look at our page and we might only have 2 seconds to convince them to follow us. So something we've worked on, improving the cleanliness and the aesthetic of the grid. So it's been nice to hand over some control with content creation to somebody else, but we're still very involved because it's our brand voice. And I say we, it's me and my 2 partners, and we are having the final say in all the content, and we're the ones executing the copy and brand voice behind all the posts. It's been nice to hand some responsibility over, which is natural as you grow a business. The Instagram and direct connection to our clients or our potential clients is really important to stay involved in. Maybe that'll change as we grow, but right now we are just outsourcing a bit of content creation, which has been nice.
Yeah. And I love that you say that you guys are still really involved, because I think that's one of the biggest mistakes that I see people doing is when you do just hire somebody to handle social media and let them run with it. And then when you're looking at your Instagram account and it's like, wow, that doesn't sound like me at all, or that doesn't reflect the kind of person that is actually in here. I've had some friends that have small businesses, and I'll sometimes be like, wow, I just don't think that doesn't sound like the way that they would speak, or, me being a client of theirs, that's not my experience. So it's so important to stay involved if you're going to choose to do that. You don't have to do that if you just organize yourself. You don't have to hire somebody to take that over. I think it is nice when you do hire somebody to see that they're maybe doing things that you were doing, or kind of giving you confidence of like you're on the right track. But you can go far with just a little bit of time and intentional posting, which we cover in our Instagram freebie, and paying attention, especially if you're a business like Sarah is. It's fun to kind of have that extra interaction with your clients. It's such a phenomenal way to stay connected.
Yeah, and we started featuring some clients. They've loved being involved, and of course there's always getting permission, a little bit more planning involved with that, but that's been something that has also helped us connect further to our audience.
We used to have a dancer of the month at Mozzie. We would feature them and do a little interview of their best habits, their favorite classes, favorite songs. It made it very shareable for them. And, it just kind of became a way to reward them being there all the time, and also inspire other clients. And it would be so cute too, because sometimes people would be like, oh my gosh, you're like the dancer of the month. So that was
local
fun.
celebs.
Yeah, local celebs. I love it.
You mentioned that type of content being really shareable. That's a good segue into
Yes.
what metrics matter on Instagram. And shares are one of those metrics, right?
Absolutely. Most people think, oh, this post didn't get enough likes or saves. That does not matter. I'll walk through the things that matter. The best part of aging in 2025 is doing it on our own terms. If you're like us and want to keep the grays at bay, we're excited to share our experience with Array, known as the wrinkle cream of hair care. Array is the first functional beauty brand to target aging hair with a proactive, science-driven approach. Today we're offering an exclusive 15% off discount code on your purchase of Share the Well 15. That's spelled ShareTheWellth 15. I discovered Array 3 years ago when I first started noticing grays, and they've been a part of my hair care routine since. Sarah is starting it now and excited to report back, so why not get started with 15% off? From dry shampoo to root serum to supplements, Array has got you covered in a way hair color can't. Head to ArrayGray.com, that's AreyGrey.com. And again, the discount code is ShareTheWealth15. The first thing that matters if you're creating a video is watching duration. So you want to make sure that whatever piece of content you make, when you look at your metrics, that you saw that most people finish the video. If not, have a higher than 100% percentage. That means they rewatched it. That means you did something really well, either looped the video or it was so good that they had to watch it one more time. So that is one of the best ways to get your video pushed out by Instagram, is if you can have that metric and complete it. Because what happens is if you have a really strong hook, a scroll stopping hook, which is hurdle number 1, right? And then kind of halfway through your video, people are like, yeah, no, swipe. Then it's going to cut your reach tremendously. So that is kind of the out of the gates, one of the things that matters the most is watch duration. The second is shareability. Instagram wants people to stay on the app. They don't want your followers to go to link in bio and leave the app to go to your website. They want people to stay on the app. And the reason that shares helps that is because when I send something to Sarah, and we do this a lot to each other, then guess what? When I open my app, I'm there longer because Sarah sent me something and I'm engaging more in the app. So they're able to feed me more ads and I'm more profitable for Instagram. That person that made the shareable post is going to get more reach because they're keeping people on the app.
Mhm.
That is why it matters so much. It also matters because it's a great way to show that you're relatable, and relatability and trustworthiness is very important. And again, like we mentioned at the beginning of the episode, in today's content landscape. The third thing that really matters is getting what you want from your post, which most of the time is sales. This is where the tool ManyChat is incredible. It's the only one that I know of that does this capability of direct messaging, DMing somebody the link to your product, affiliate sale, service, whatever it is, directly to their inbox. This is so important. And again, the reason it works versus, oh, like click my link in bio, it's because when somebody does that, again, they leave the app. But if you send a DM, you're engaging with them on the app, which means that next time your follower goes on in there and clicks your link or goes on it and sees your messages, they're on the app, they went down there, they're like, there's my DM. And even if it does take you away, Instagram really rewards that ability to message people within the app. So if you have something to sell, a course, want to build your email list, have more affiliate sales, send people to your website or your intro offer, this is a fantastic tool for only, I think it's only like $25 a month that you can get started with and just like get going. So those three things are important. Are you getting people to comment that they want more from you? Maneuver it however you want. You can say whatever keyword you want to use. So like you can totally make that custom for you, but those three things really matter.
It sounds like ManyChat, which I don't use yet, also takes some of the work out of having to answer every DM.
1000%.
So that could be really valuable depending on what you're doing in your DMs. If you want to help a small business, hit share on every single one of their posts.
Please share.
Yeah.
To follow your point, Sarah, not only can you send that one link, so then what happens after you send that first link is that you can program it to kind of have like a follow-up. You can send different things. Oh, and by the way, I see you open this, so you can keep it going and keep the party going. Those things matter. You can hide your likes, even your shares. If you don't want to have that be something that is something else you have to deal with. And me personally, I hide all of my likes because it's such a public job to be on social media every day. They see if I'm growing, if I have views, comments. And it's like, I don't need to also stress about how liked am I?
Yeah. Do you hide comments?
No, it just likes. It's one more thing. I don't have to worry about that metric. That doesn't matter. It doesn't matter to Instagram, but it makes you look popular if you have like, 5,000 likes and you're like, oh, I feel really good about myself. For example, my most liked post, which I think is maybe like 40,000 likes, got me a fraction of the followers that a similar post with 1,000 likes got me. So I have one that has 40,000 likes, got me negligible amount of followers. On the other hand, I have one that looks like it failed, but it got me thousands of followers. So take that out of it. If you're self-conscious, just hide it. If you don't care, good for you. I wish I was like you, but I'm just going to hide it.
It seems like it's just something that people are used to doing at this point, liking or not. It's been there from the beginning. It was on Facebook. If it's going to keep you up at night, it shouldn't. I was going to go back to something else that you mentioned. The ManyChat. Well, I've engaged with a few content creators or brands that have used this feature, and I'm always blown away by the efficiency of it. It's borderline creepy in some ways. It's like, oh, by the way, what's your name? You think you're talking to this person, but they're just gathering your information. But I prefer it over giving my cell phone number and getting texts from a brand. So I feel like it really is something that's just going to be the norm.
Yeah,
Fast.
it is. And actually, sometimes when I haven't put, comment link on my post, people will just be like, can I have the link? Because they're used to having that. It's almost like become part of the culture. And that's one of the drawbacks too from YouTube Shorts and TikTok is that it doesn't have that capability yet. So you're not able to engage in the same intimate way with people that want to engage with you.
Yeah, that's interesting. So that's a hot tip. I need to get on ManyChat, try the trial reels. This has been so helpful already. What role could hiring influencers or content creators play for a small business?
Gosh, Sarah, such a loaded question.
Yeah. I mean, they're amazing.
I need to get paid a ton of money.
Yeah.
No, so it's so funny. It helps too that I'm a Gemini. I can totally see like both sides of the situation. On one hand, influencer content creator me thinks I work so hard for my audience. I work so hard for the content. I expect to be paid. However, I've also been a brand and still am at a reduced level, online only, but a brand on the fitness side. I would never recommend that you pay a large portion of your marketing budget to influencers, not because they're not worth it, but because you have to think about your business and the geography of it, what you're getting out of it, the type of business that you're in. I always recommend that people identify an influencer or a content creator that's coming to your business to engage with them and think like, okay, they're already in there. It's authentic. And that person would benefit from a trade situation, which is very powerful because it's not like it's not like you're artificially getting someone out of nowhere and be like, come here and make it look like you love it. They're already your customers. It's a great way to be authentic, have somebody that knows how to tell stories and create content and be able to tell your story through their lens. Have somebody do that for you is amazing because you might be creating really good content for yourself, but to have an extra set of eyes that is speaking from a customer perspective is powerful. In some cases, could it be worth money to have rights to the content in perpetuity? Not that I would recommend a content creator give rights away in perpetuity. If you could have rights to their content as a collaborator, figure out what works. I've worked locally with businesses on a trade program because I'm a fan and it's worked out for me because it's like, okay, this is a place that I love and they're getting content from it. I'm getting something I would pay for anyway. It's seamless. Being a small business, budgets are limited. You don't have the same kind of pockets that, Nike does or Starbucks or whoever it might be. Like it's a different story. Now, if you're a content creator and, you have a mid-size brand reaching out to you and they're not wanting to pay you, you really have to, that's a whole other conversation. But if it's just a small business excited about you representing them, it's worth considering because not everything needs a paycheck attached to it. You have to be respectful of your time, but it's something to consider. It's something you might enjoy and your followers might enjoy as well.
Yeah, I think you said, it's ideally it's existing client. It's someone that's already coming to you or has expressed an interest. That's become more valuable because the consumer sees through it. If you're paying someone, they have to put ad or partner. The bigger the brand, the more enforced. But this is the new word of mouth, right? Is someone posting a picture at your place of business or posting your product because they genuinely want to. You mentioned also like not being a big brand, maybe you're a small business, you don't have the budgets of Nike. And I can speak to that specifically because I came from a big brand background to opening the studio. And I remember sitting down with my partners and they had been out of the corporate world for a little longer than I was. And I was like, okay, well, we've got to get PR in here for launch. We've got to get the press in and we had to find all the local influencers. And we realized that doesn't really exist here. We don't have the money to do it if it did exist. I could say we tried everything with the right strategy. If you build it, they will come. If you build your Instagram and you're authentic in your product, you will find these people. There are ways to track them, right? You can give them a discount code to use and see how many redemptions happen, see if it's worth it, and just kind of testing and learning. And I can say that we've tried that. We've tried discount codes. We've tried trading with people without discount codes. We've tried trading with people and then making sure we have the rights to use their content that they create for us, which we never end up really doing outside of social media anyway. But like, we just wanted to make sure we had that choice if we wanted to. And I would say that what's worked best is doing everything right and setting the foundation so that when those people do walk through the doors organically, they're sharing for you without you having to invest.
Yeah, and you know what? That's a good point too, because sometimes it can sound sexy to hire an influencer. The truth is, if you can get your clients to post, that mom with 200 followers, it is so much more powerful than somebody with 200,000 followers. Like it's because that mom has local friends. She probably doesn't post a ton, but when she does, it's because she really likes it. Thinking strategically about who your ambassadors are as a small business, because for you, someone like me paying me money as somebody who has a small fraction in where we live doesn't make sense. 'Cause you're paying for a very small portion of like what my reach is.
Yeah, I think, and we've done that. And I think it's like you have to think about what are you really trying to get out of it. I know there was one example where a seemingly big influencer reached out to us because she was here locally for whatever reason. And we're like, wow, look at her numbers, look at her content. And the content was beautiful. And we felt, and then, someone who worked for us was like, oh my gosh, I follow her, and we thought we were honored. She wanted to come. So we're like, sure, come on in. Here's some free classes. And she created some nice content, but it didn't perform well. That's when we had to check our ego and say, we want to be associated with this person, but what did it really do for us? It's just getting clear on what you want out of that partnership.
If it's something very specialized, like launching a petite clothing brand, and you need petite influencers, then go for it. You just have to assess. And even if you go for it, like you said, having a trackability so that you are able to have the conversation of, you know what, we're going to give you this for free now. If you like it, keep working, then talk about something else.
Yep. Test and learn.
And you can also just pay somebody to do content for you as well. Like if you see a lot of value in their style and you want to use it, that's also an option too.
Yep. And that's, like I mentioned before, what we ended up doing. And it's been great. So I guess it just depends what the end goal is and what you need to feel confident in what you're putting out there.
What are some of your favorite people to follow?
Across any genre besides you? Let's see.
I follow so many people. I keep being fed the same people as the algorithm tends to do. I really love people outside of my niche because sometimes giving that fresh perspective gives me ideas to incorporate into what I do. I love Fasting MD. She's just so knowledgeable when it comes to nutrition and like perimenopausal woman, which I'm 45. So that's kind of right up my alley. And just have learned so much from her. Terms of other people,
you're thinking of like your personal development.
Yeah, just like just kind of outside of my.
There's so many mom bloggers that are relatable. One that has struck a chord with me was Mother Untitled, redefining stay-at-home motherhood and what it really means to pause more traditional corporate work and the power pause. Yeah, she's been inspirational. And Dr. Shannon, the founder of Evlo Fitness, it's a workout app. Her approach is gentle consistency, and it has to do with strength training. She's a physical therapist, so it's all science-based, and that's been a really, just lighting up a different part of the brain in terms of some of the more fun stuff that I like to follow for laughs. But I think I've learned a lot from her in terms of strength training. And
your account is beautiful too. It's all you guys make it really fun. You have a combination of beautiful, I want to work out, and relatable things.
Accessible, hopefully, and educational. We try to steer away from toxic, tendencies in the fitness industry around diet culture and just trying to empower people and make sure they're focused on self-care and strength rather than being skinny and having a six-pack. Right. And I think that vibe, I know that vibe comes across when you walk in the door and take our classes. We don't talk about that stuff, but then also on our Instagram, just trying to put the positivity out there. And then, the education and the Pilates and why you should come if you are local.
It has changed so much. I remember when we started our business in 2009, we had a class called Skinny Jeans. It crushed it. Skinny jeans. Yeah.
Some of that still exists.
Skinny jeans are back.
Yeah. But not, skinny meaning like ankle.
Right.
Right. Yeah. Okay.
All right. Well, this was so fun. I hope you took away a lot of goodies from this. Make sure you get the downloadable Instagram guide.
We're just scratching the surface. The guide that Ziva put together goes into more detail on all of this and then stuff we haven't covered.
To be continued.
Yes, more to come. Let us know if you want to hear more about other platforms. I will continue to learn along with everybody
Me too.
listening. We're all just learning.
Riding the wave.